online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. President Trump, before he took off for Memphis, and that included a visit to Graceland. The one king I think we can all acknowledge. Before he did that, he addressed the assembled press corps on the tarmac, answered questions about Iran, including his calling off strikes against Iranian power plants for now. 5-day clock that he put Iran on to come to some terms with respect to specific things, starting with the nuclear program. Otherwise, the bombings will continue until their morale improves.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal, too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Bombing our little hearts out. Okay. Trump also added that he's not willing to disclose the Iranian leader with whom they're speaking for fear of that person being taken out. But that he's essentially intimated that regime change has already taken place because whoever it is they're speaking with, it's not the gay cardboard Ayatollah.
Mr. President, with Iran?
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader.
So
we don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Are these direct?
We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
again.
Mr. President, I know you've deployed.
Because I don't want him to be killed.
And here's what Trump said on what he wants as part of any deal for a ceasefire, effectively, at least as step one.
You said you want to get the enriched uranium. How are you going to get it?
No nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it. Low key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that. And I think we're going to get that.
Uranium?
We've agreed to that. Yeah, we've agreed to that.
You want the enriched uranium before you can end this war.
We want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium. If this happens, it's a great start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want. And it's also great for Israel, and it's great for the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all of them, Kuwait and Bahrain in particular. So it's great for all of them.
So a no nuclear program, a low key on the missiles. That's going to need some more definition. And we want their enriched uranium. How are we going to get it? We're just going to go in there and get it if it's agreed to.
You said you want to get the enriched uranium. How are you going to get the enriched uranium? Are you going to?
It's very easy. If we have a deal with them, we're going down and we'll take it ourselves.
And one more piece, of course, the Strait of Hormuz and the resumption of maritime traffic through said strait.
Thank you.
What about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of that?
That'll be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be able to control the flow of oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By who?
Maybe me. Maybe me.
You want the United States to be in
Me
control
and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look, and there'll also be a very serious form of a regime change. Now, in all fairness, everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting off. There's automatically a regime change, but we're dealing with some people that I find to be very reasonable, very solid. The people within know who they are. They're very respected. And maybe one of them will be exactly what we're looking for.
Perhaps. I thought we didn't want another Ayatollah, though, for real regime change, something of a more secular variety. But it's hard to know since we don't exactly know whom Trump's representatives are speaking with. For more on all of this, pleased to be joined again by Taki Theodoracopulos, longtime Spectator columnist, co-founder of the American Conservative, and author of the new book, The Last Alpha Male, The Amorous Pursuits and High Life of a Poor Little Greek Boy. Taki, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Very much for having me. I haven't been up so early since I was young. Since I was in school.
Well, there you go. They're recapturing your lost youth this morning.
Yes, exactly.
I read your piece in The Spectator, and you see this, this is going to be interesting, you see this playing out more like a Shakespearean tragedy, talking about Benjamin Netanyahu as Iago to Trump's Othello. Explain.
Yes. Well, as you know, Iago whispered a lot of things against Desdemona, and Othello believed and killed his wife. I just think I'm convinced. I'm not convinced of anything anymore, but I think that we did go to war. We did go to war because the Israelis were going to go at it alone, and they're our allies, and that Netanyahu has pushed for this war, and with Likud has been pushing for this war for us since time immemorial. And when I voted for Trump, I didn't know I was voting for Netanyahu. And basically, I think that the Israelis are running American foreign policy where the Middle East is concerned, mind you. I remember when James Burns and Dean Acheson and John Foster Dulles, they made their mistakes, but they were very respected, diplomats. Now to have Witkoff, who's a real estate shark, and Kushner, who's his son-in-law, and the only thing I remember him from was he took a wonderful weekly newspaper, which I worked in, and he drove it to the ground, the New York Observer. Anyway, I just think it's amateur stuff, and we should read the riot act to Netanyahu and tell him they're our closest allies there, but stop killing people in the West Bank. The settlers are acting in ways that I'm just writing about it this week. Unbelievable. You cannot act this way toward human beings. These are the settlers, not the Israeli public. The Israeli public is actually, most of them that I've spoken to, are appalled at what the settlers are doing in the West Bank. But, the country gets a reputation from its extremists. So I'm not so sure. I'm glad that Iran, if what Trump is saying is true, but I don't think the Israelis will sort of go for anything unless it's total surrender. And why should a country like Iran, which is 2,500 years old, surrender to what I call only the Likud party of Israel? Israel has done tremendous things, but Likud is an expansionist and very, very undemocratic party as far as I'm concerned.
But looking at the landscape, even prior to the military strikes that began 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, it is much different, both for the Iranians as well as the relationship between the United States and many of those Gulf states, and even Israel and many of those Gulf states, the Abraham Accords, for example.
Yeah.
The bombings last June of the Israeli nuclear program, and frankly, after October 7th, the crippling of Hezbollah and Hamas, and with Americans, with the American engagement also to some extent the Houthis, these Iranian proxies. So And also Iran as a chess piece with with respect to the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics, it seems to me, that have led up to the moment that began 3.5 weeks ago, as compared to any other time over the last 47 years of this regime's existence, that provide perhaps opportunity to reshape the Middle East in a more productive and peaceful way, and also back the Chinese Communist Party's saber rattling down a bit.
I'm afraid you're absolutely right, Dad. And I'm not saying it because you run the program. I never understood how suicidal this Iran regime became, because all they had to do is, obviously, I'm on the side of displaced Palestinians, but at the same time, you cannot finance and take, well, they're the ones who, and arm all those parties which are against Israel. You can do it in a peaceful way, and Israel might one day listen to reason, but you cannot win by backing Hezbollah and arming. Look what happened. They lost Syria. Iran has lost everywhere. They lost Lebanon. They lost everywhere where they mix. They continue to do the same thing. This is the Ayatollahs. So whether I like it or not, I think maybe what Trump and Netanyahu have done now might turn out to be some reasonable Iranian government.
Well, the interesting... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, the other interesting thing about this, too, is the Iranian response, and sort of to date, has only alienated itself from other Gulf states that much more. In fact, Mark Dubowitz over at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies posted that of the missile strikes the Iranians have launched, 87% of them, more than 5,500, have been strikes against Arab countries. 13% of them, only 800, have been strikes against Israel. So what Iran has done is bring those Gulf state actors even closer to America and Israel.
Absolutely, exactly. But that's what I that's what I meant. You think that the Iranians are working for the Israelis and the Americans. I don't understand what goes through their minds. How can you attack the people like in Qatar, who are your closest allies? And they even bomb Qatar, which supports them anyway. It's a madhouse. My heart goes out only because I've been there. I've covered those refugee camps. People who have been there since 1948, 4 generations in refugee camps. I feel for them, and I've always written about them. But I'm certainly not for these madmen who are the Ayatollahs. I just think maybe Trump can pull a rabbit out of his hat. I don't know. Things are very strange for me, Dan, because I never get up before midday and to be up so early. Even the Ayatollahs seem to make sense.
All right. We'll try not to overload. Yeah, we'll try not to overload your synapses here.
Not at all. No. You've been a very gracious host. I've been to Chicago 3 times. I've appeared in TV shows when I was younger, and I had a very good time. And it was wonderful, sunny, and anyway, I had a good time. I have very good souvenirs, if you know what I mean, from Chicago.
Okay.
Very pretty girl.
Well, oh, really? A very pretty girl.
Very pretty girl, yeah. Well, she must be an old lady by now.
Wow. Boy, I want to hear about the adventures of that poor little Greek boy that you wrote about. Now this is getting interesting. Now, if you do come back to Chicago in the near term, see if you can stay with a friend. Maybe that's a very pretty girl, because we just upped our hotel taxes again to the highest in the country, so it's getting a little expensive.
Oh
to stay
my
here.
God, you have a very expensive mayor. Why? What is he trying to do?
Yeah, well, that's something that people have been trying to figure out for the last 3 years. Nobody's got a great answer. Yeah.
Tell him he should go over to Iran.
Right. Yeah, right.
Thank you very much for having me. And
Taki,
you've been a very gracious host. And and you allowed me to say something which is not very popular in America.
No, that's okay.
But
That's what we like to have dissenting opinions here and hash things out. I enjoy it, and especially with a Shakespearean metaphor to boot. I mean, that's always fun. Taki, Theodoracopulos, longtime Spectator columnist, co-founder of the American Conservatives, author of the new book, The Last Alpha Male, The Amorous Pursuits and High Life of a Poor Little Greek Boy, as we were just getting a glimpse of. Wonderful. Taki, thanks so much for joining us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joins us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in